Do you truly control your decisions? When you chose to click on this video, was that a purely conscious, independent choice? Or was it the inevitable result of a biological chain reaction that started before you were even born? Today, we are examining the scientific arguments against the concept of libertarian free will. That is, the idea that human agency is uncaused and independent of physical constraints. By looking at data from neuroscience, biology, and psychology, we are going to explore how factors like hunger, sleep deprivation, and genetics might actually be the ones pulling the strings. Let us look at the evidence. Our first data point comes from a 2011 study conducted by Shai Danziger on the Israeli parole board system. This study tracked over 1,000 rulings to see what factors influenced whether a prisoner was granted freedom. You would assume the decision relies on the severity of the crime or the prisoner's behavior. However, the data showed a different correlation. Parole approval rates were at roughly 65% first thing in the morning, but right before lunch, the approval rate dropped to near zero. Immediately after the judges ate, the rate spiked back up to 65%. This is often attributed to decision fatigue and glucose depletion. When the brain is low on energy, it defaults to the path of least resistance. For a judge, that means denying parole and maintaining the status quo. This suggests that what we consider moral reasoning may sometimes just be a metabolic status report. We see similar breakdowns in agency when we look at sleep. Research from Dr. Matthew Walker's lab and various military trials highlights how sleep deprivation disconnects the prefrontal cortex. That is the logical, executive part of the brain. It disconnects it from the amygdala, the emotional center. The consequences are measurable. One study found that sleep-deprived law enforcement officers were 50% more likely to misidentify suspects based on racial cues or biases rather than evidence. When you are exhausted, your ability to regulate emotion and bias collapses. So, when you choose to snap at a coworker or make a risky financial decision after a bad night's sleep, science suggests this is not necessarily a reflection of your character, but a mechanical failure of cognitive control. Even when you are well-fed and rested, your internal chemistry is constantly shifting your decision-making framework. High testosterone levels correlate with increased risk-taking and confidence. A spike in cortisol, the stress hormone, induces tunnel vision, causing you to perceive the world as more threatening. Oxytocin increases trust and in-group loyalty. There are even clinical cases where undiagnosed physiological issues, such as hypothyroidism, drastically alter personality and motivation. If a chemical imbalance can make a person choose to give up on their career, it forces us to ask, where does biology end and the self begin? If we rewind further, we find factors that influenced your brain before you spoke your first word. This brings us to epigenetics. Studies on prenatal stress show that high levels of maternal cortisol can alter the neural wiring of a developing fetus. Animal studies consistently show that offspring born to stressed mothers have higher baseline anxiety and hypervigilance. Furthermore, childhood environment physically structures the brain. The Hart and Risley study, among others, highlights how early childhood environment affects cognitive development. High-stress environments often result in a prefrontal cortex that is adapted for survival. It prioritizes short-term rewards over long-term planning. This is a biological adaptation, not a moral failing, but it means that by the time you are an adult, your operating system has already been heavily coded by your environment. So does this mean free will is entirely a myth? Are we just dominoes falling? Many neuroscientists and philosophers argue for a view called compatibilism. This view accepts that while we may not have magic free will, meaning we cannot choose our deep internal desires or our biology, we still possess a form of agency. We can use our conscious awareness to influence the variables. We cannot simply will ourselves to be different, but we can choose to sleep more. We can choose to alter our environment to reduce stress. We can seek medical treatment for chemical imbalances. The science suggests that we are not the sole authors of our lives, but we might be the editors. We cannot write the script from scratch, but we can tweak the screenplay by understanding the machinery running in the background. If you want to dive deeper into the neuroscience of consciousness, check out Part 2, and let me know in the comments, do you think biology completely dictates your choices, or is there something else at play?